I do have some positive things.
All right, so tonight, part 2 of this. Screw you. So part 2 of this, we'll be discussing quote unquote Walking Thrones, which is the season 3 finale of Walking Dead and
my personal term
and the season 3 premiere of Game of Thrones.
We'll start with Thrones.
Well, to preface this, there's going to be spoilers galore in both of these discussions. More so Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But I implore you to watch both before listening. All right, go.
Okay, Game of Thrones. It came back. It's just as great as ever, really. I mean, coming back to it as someone who only just caught up with the show, and this is only the second episode I've ever seen right after it's premiered. I'm still trying to get used to all the characters. There's a lot of them to follow. Sometimes I get lost in the names, but it's defied my expectations because I always thought, it's a fantasy show, so I kind of came to it with expectations of other fantasy stuff, but it's a much more somber and low-key fantasy.
It's not in your face.
And it's not like Lord of the Rings action either. It does have action in some parts, but it's not. It's much more about the character interactions and the power struggles and all that, and
the story. Story comes first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. And fucking Joffrey, who never fails to make us just want to kill him.
It was like he shows up in this episode, the last 15 minutes, everyone's like, we're going to get a Joffrey free episode. All of a sudden, no.
He shows up and they're like, no, I thought we were free of him. I liked the very end part with
the soldiers.
Yeah, there's the
when they find what's his name, who was the former guard.
Yeah, there's that little lizard girl who tries to kill Daenerys.
I like that.
And then the guy sneaks up and saves her.
Who I swear to God, I thought that looked like Terrence Stamp for a good couple seconds.
How awesome would that have been?
Neo before.
Not really.
I think my favorite part of the episode was the Tyrion tyrants. Because you get the sense that, he hates his son.
I was gonna say all the stuff between the father and son. It was great, and he made the father made a good point. It's like, look, you just kind of
you screw whores and drink.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I mean, for two seasons, I thought, Tyrion, he's awesome, he's the best. And then his father says, you're not really helping out that much. You're just kind of screwing whores and drinking. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Actually, he was. And trying to think, because the thing with Game of Thrones is it's not a show that until the ending.
It's not truly linear.
It doesn't go for the big moments, the big dramatic.
It builds
moments.
to it.
Exactly. It just lets the pieces kind of
come into place,
trickle through, and sweep over you. But it doesn't try to go. It doesn't in every episode try to go for a grand dramatic gesture to hook you, and it lets it go at a slow burn.
I think it's also because there are so many characters. But luckily, I think that this episode did a good job of both building off of what happened at the last part of season 2, but also it brought new stuff in.
Well, it literally picks up right there with Sam running away from those zombie things.
And they introduced new characters. One of my favorite character actors, Ciaran Hinds.
Mm-hmm.
Jon Snow runs into this new nomad tribe, basically.
Your Grace. Ha! He says, Your Grace.
I think it's a good way to start the series. I don't have any issues with it, but if I had to pick one, I think the Starks could have gotten maybe just a little bit.
Well, so that's the thing. With so many characters, there's inevitably going to be episodes where some characters just don't show up at all.
Yeah, but that was the one part that never really got readdressed.
Yeah.
Because they did readdress the pirates.
As someone who hasn't read the books, something I'm really liking what they're doing is they're pretty much like, I like how Stannis and Daenerys are like the flip sides of the coin. Like they're both like trying to claim, the heirs to the throne, but Daenerys is the one who still remains with like honorable intentions, whereas Stannis has pretty much just like fallen for this, evil witch woman pretty much that is like controlling most of his decisions, which is something I like a lot. Yeah, I can't think of much else, really.
I think we should give a little bit of thoughts on the show as a whole.
I thought, again, as someone who didn't read the books, I thought the first season, the first third of it, took a while to get going because it had to set up so many characters, and it didn't. It maybe could have been a little more, figured out a way to do it a little more streamlined, maybe, for an adaptation purposes. But once you get past that introduction stage, it hits the ground running with the Stark conflict, and I thought that was of course Sean Bean has to die. I thought those...
I saw that coming as soon as they cast him.
And I almost have no complaints really about season 2. Well, not true. I thought Daenerys could have had more to do in season 2, but overall I like season 2 more than season 1.
I think it got better, because I think season 1 it is very Stark focused.
Yeah.
But then again, most of the first book is told from his perspective. The second one is mostly Tyrion, which makes sense because Peter Dinklage got top billing for season 2, and it looks like season 3 because I think he was in the pilot the most because he has to talk with his sister and he has to talk with his father. By the way, his sister's a total bitch.
And incestuous whore. Well, I mean, at this point, like Sean Bean was like the poster actor for the show, and now Peter Dinklage is the poster actor.
Rightfully so. He's fantastic. But another good thing about the show is there's no weak links as far as casting goes. Even the kids.
Yeah, all
like
the kids
kid who plays Braun, I think he's fantastic.
Arya.
Also, they're giving Julian Glover some work.
It took me a while to realize that was him. There are some points where I just...
I mean, great. It does slow down at times.
There are some points in the first season where I was getting a little bit annoyed at Sansa's stubbornness.
Yeah, I was like, okay, let's back off.
It's like, I'm just like, come on, are you really turning against your family just for Joffrey? Like, really? Come on, do you not see how horrible this guy is? Like, this kid just screams, like, just pathetic, like, just wait. Unacceptable.
Like that scene where he gets beaten up.
Oh.
You could just put the lemon grab stuff over that and it would fit.
I want all the scenes where he's hit or whimpering away, like on a loop, just so I can savor those moments.
As far as me, I haven't read the books either, but I think the show does a really good job of both giving everyone something to do, but it doesn't get muddled at any times. Like character motivations are there, and they're built upon. And whenever someone backtracks on something, it makes sense. I can understand if people think it's a little overwhelming. I mean, I thought it was for a while, but it gets better as you watch it. One of my 5 favorite shows on TV currently. Speaking of which, my other 4 would be Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Justified, this.
I need to get into Justified.
This, and one more. South Park. No, Archer.
Yeah, there you go. Archer.
Now.
Okay, we have a lot of words to say about Walking Dead.
Sorry, Game of Thrones fans. I don't think there was much to talk about. Well, basically, to sum it up, it delivered.
Yeah.
And it does what a pilot should do. It gets you interested, and it starts what the progression of the season will be. Because you get the snow. Exactly. Snow is going to build up to get back. You got building up the army, and you got Tyrion trying to resolve his daddy issues. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
And now, God damn it.
Let me reiterate, spoilers galore.
I was so, like, okay.
First and foremost, thoughts on Walking Dead season as a whole.
As a whole, okay. I think, the first season I thought was very uneven. I thought that, personally, I still think the pilot is the best episode
Of the whole show?
Yeah. And then I thought episode 2 was great, and I thought episodes 3 and 5 were decent too, but as a whole, the thing with season 1 is it doesn't really have much of like a.
There's no overlapping like story to it. It's just it's them coming together. The closest thing you could say is Rick trying to get to his family.
Yeah, but then that's resolved like
midway through.
Exactly, midway through it. So, but then. It doesn't really have a central thrust to it, and then the CDC finale is
I also
terrible.
think it's too downbeat. Like there's very little humor in the first season.
Well, there's not really much humor elsewhere either.
No, but I think. Well, we should move on to season 2. I think, on the whole, season 2, from a story standpoint, is the strongest of the three. It's the most even, I should say.
Yeah, I would say because I'm just gonna say because I thought the season 1 finale was terrible, honestly. But season 2 gets
so much flack.
It gets so much flack. It's mostly the first half, and personally, with the exception of a couple episodes, I never was bored with the first half of season 2. Really.
What was the finale of that? That was when Sophia got shot.
That's the mid-season finale.
Yeah, I said mid-season.
Yeah, the barn massacre. That I don't want to brag, but I was talking with Christian at one point, like a few episodes before the mid-season premiere, and I actually said to him, I have an idea. It's going to sound crazy. And I said, what if Sophia was in the barn? And he's like, no, they wouldn't do it. And then she walks out of the barn, and he texts me, and he's like, you were fucking right. You fucking called it.
But I think that's perfect, because I think a mid-season finale should do one of two things. It should resolve something that's been building up, which is what they did, but also it should make you wanting more. Because that's such a downbeat finale.
Oh, yeah.
like all is lost, and even kids are vulnerable, which is something that.
I also thought the moment is in the episode right before it when Lori finally tells Rick about Shane and then her pregnancy, and you're just like, huh. It's just like this, you're like, oh. And it's just like, it's not like a big argument like the show usually turns into. It's just this quiet moment where Rick just like
contemplates.
It's
just contemplating.
Mm-hmm. And and then it.
Then I think the second half is probably my favorite half of a collective season.
Like really? I think the first half of season 3 is the best half.
True. Okay.
But yeah, season 2, the second half of season 2, it's almost like I wasn't down on the first half, but it did drag. But season 2 second half of season 2 found the right mix of slower character moments and action stuff and actual events pushing forward and actual confrontation and momentum in the plot. I mean, hell, the first episode back is the scene in the bar with the 3 guys, and you're like, oh, there's gonna be these new characters, and then no, Rick just right there, and then it's just, and then it continues to build up the Shane conflict, which culminates in the fantastic episode where Rick has to take out Shane, and then Carl finishes the job, and then of course the whole farm gets attacked.
And I like how Shane, it's gradual. It's not like you understand where he's coming from, why he's going ape shit.
He's a very interesting character because he is crazy, but at the same time...
But he's still thinking, because there's that scene after he kills Randall.
Yeah.
He's like, oh shit, what do I do now? So he sees the tree, goes up to it, and just goes like this.
Oh, yeah. And, what was I going to say? Now, obviously it's not perfect. This season was not perfect, but like I said, the first half does drag. I think the first half of season 2 actually is my least favorite episode of the whole show. with the well.
Oh.
Because absolutely nothing happens in that episode. And the well stuff is completely pointless. And Andrea gets really annoying in a lot of those parts. Dale is like the overdone moral center in all of those
Overly
scenes.
sentimental.
And Lori is just so inconsistently written in that.
She loves
season.
Rick, she loves Shane, she just keeps going back and forth. And
okay, and here's the thing. There's a great scene. Actually, I thought it was a legitimately great scene where she's pretty much like Lady Macbeth, like whispering in Rick's ear that Shane has to go. And I thought, okay, they're moving Lori forward in a position where we're actually not supposed to care about her. And then no, they keep trying to make us care about her. And then after telling him to kill Shane in the final episode of that season, he tells her that he did the job.
And she goes crazy.
She backs away like, ugh, get away from me. Like, who are you?
You horrible
monster?
person.
Yeah, it's like, fuck you. Like,
I don't like the way that... I don't really like the last couple minutes of that finale, though.
Dictatorship. This is a dictator. No, he doesn't say it, but...
I was like, oh, no, he says dictatorship.
Yeah.
I was like, at least he didn't say it.
This is not a democracy.
It's a dictatorship.
See, you know what though? I like that because Rick was kind of inactive for most of the season, and the second half was him finally like saying like, okay, I have to actually.
But
like,
don't you think after
decisions.
everything that happened, and I think you have to be stupid to see that Shane wasn't crazy.
It is a bit overdone.
Like everyone's like, oh, you horrible person.
Yeah.
He should have been like, look, he tried to kill me. Ask Carl, because Carl pulled a gun on him.
Exactly.
And then they show the prison. I'm like, all right, perfect.
There you go.
That's how you end it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. First half of season 3, I thought was great. And the first thing that I was like, holy crap, this is great, is I was actually starting to like Lori. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
oh my god.
I was actually starting to feel like bad for her, and then of course, there's the absolutely amazing episode where she gets killed, and you're like,
holy crap,
damn,
no one's safe.
And then the moment where Rick like just breaks down emotionally was just so hard to watch.
But then the best thing about I think the first half is that whenever someone dies, it means something.
It meant something.
Or characters felt like they were in danger. Like when Herschel gets bit and they have to cut his leg off.
God. And then there's that great moment where they meet the prisoners and they're going through the prison killing all the rest of the walkers.
And Rick.
Oh, and then the other guy like pushes a walker into Rick to try to kill him, and they have this like really tense conversation. You're like, what's gonna happen? And then Rick with a machete just whoosh, takes the guy out, and then one of the other prisoners is like running away, and Rick is like chasing after him with the machete and takes him out.
But also, I like how this is the one the better thing compared to the second half is that this one balances the prison stuff with the Woodbury stuff much better.
Of course, this has the governor
and Merle.
Mm-hmm. And Merle's
and
back
both
too.
in the same episode. They
Exactly.
introduced both of them back in the same episode. And I gotta say,
David Morrissey.
I gotta say David Morrissey carried the second half of this season.
Yeah. Well, before we get to the second half, the mid-season finale where the attack on Woodbury was great because not only is there attack, but then you introduce the Michonne governor conflict more first she kills his daughter and then she stabs him in the eye with glass and you're just like, oh.
Then that builds after 5 because you see they first meet him. You're like, all right, he could be a nice guy.
Yeah.
Then the episode ends with him sitting in that room with all the heads.
And you're like,
Then the next episode, you see his daughter chained up as a zombie.
Yeah.
And then he rapes Maggie.
Well, almost.
No, he does pretty much.
Yeah.
It's implied. Beats the shit out of Glenn.
Well, that's Meryl.
Yeah, but
at his request, yeah.
And I was like, okay, the end. I was like, okay, Merle and Daryl are going to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second... Actually, I'm going to say the Walk With Me episode where they first introduced the governor, that's my favorite episode of the first half of that season.
Okay, second half, I thought the first episode back started out fine, but the last scene where Ghost Lori shows up and then Rick
I was like, oh god.
shoos away Tyrese. Okay, first of all, Tyrese he's introduced at the end of the first half. It's like, you're like, great, fan favorite character. He's got a nice he even has a great scene where Carl's like about to shoot their friend, and they're like, here, wait, we got this. No, wait, hold on, Carl. And it's like, okay, great, we have him in. And what happens in the second half? He's shoved away, and we barely see him in the second half. And the whole stuff with Ghost Lore is so heavy-handed.
So heavy-handed.
And it leads into the next episode where Ghost Lore is pretty much the focus of it. And it's another one of those, like...
Is the episode also where they got attacked?
Well, that is, but that's like the last 5 minutes, though. That whole episode is another season 2 filler episode until that last scene.
Which, speaking of filler, my biggest problem with this season, with this season as a whole, this should have been shorter.
Really? I thought the first half was perfectly paced.
Okay.
Right?
Well, the second half should have been 6 episodes instead of 8.
I totally agree with that.
Because I think 14, you could have done...
You could have done 13, I think.
13.
Maybe.
Or do a 2-hour season finale.
That leads right into it.
Well, we should say... I was like, finally, all right. So the governor attacks the prison.
Yep.
Granted, no one important gets killed.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest issue with the second half of this series. When characters die, they're not. There's no gravity to it because you just met them.
Well, Well, I do have to say, even though he didn't get much to do, T-Dog had a great death in the first.
That was the first half.
Yeah. But then, the only death I can recall, really, before the
Merle one?
Before Merle and before the finale is Axel. And we don't care.
That's sad, though,
we
because
don't care about
you
him.
just met him, a couple episodes
No,
prior.
and the thing is, we thought he was, like, this big, like, creep, and then he actually started being, like, nice, and then out of nowhere,
there's so much illogical. Like, first of all, how did they not see the governor with the truck and the gun?
Yeah.
And he gets a clean headshot on his first bullet, and then he hits nothing for the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, he can't hit anything for 10 minutes.
Alright, so then it goes to they have the meeting.
Okay.
Why didn't he just shoot him?
Okay, first of all, not only does not an actual confrontation not happen in the episode, but it's a conversation that's dragged out for a full episode. That should have been half an episode, right there.
If that.
Yeah.
Or, if you want to make it that, have him cut off his hand like in the comics. Or give him some kind of injury.
Well, they weren't going to do that because even Kirkman said he shouldn't have cut the hand off. But
or, done something.
But see, and the thing is with that conversation episode is it's such a great idea. Like, have these two guys finally sit down and talking. But not only is that dragged out, but all the actual, like, supposedly, like, character moments outside of that are meaningless because it's the stuff between Milton and Herschel.
Daryl and Martinez,
which doesn't amount to anything. The stuff between Glenn and Merle at the prison, like, it's just... there's no...
Anywhere.
Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere.
It's like, okay... He's like, he wants Michonne. I'm like, okay, she's not part of your group, really, so I don't see what the big issue would be with sending her over.
And it establishes the fact that Beth's only reason being there is to sing and shoot a gun in the air.
And quote Bible references.
Now, okay, the thing with Michonne, though, is that I know you only thought that was a really good episode, but personally, I thought the next episode where it's Rick, Carl, and Michonne, and they go to meet Morgan.
That was good.
I thought that, personally, that's in, like, my top 5, maybe...
More so because they brought Morgan back.
Maybe 3 favorite episodes of the whole series.
That's because they brought Morgan back. I think that's... But also that's the episode where Carl is starting to grow a pair of balls.
Carl grows a pair of balls. Michonne becomes likable, finally.
She cracks a smile.
And not only that, but the character development between the 3 of them, like, actually felt like it mattered. Like, Michonne was finally starting to, like, really become with the group.
Then, like, I like the thing with the show is that I think it works better when you focus on smaller stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the Walk With Me episode, it's nothing but Andrea and the governor and Michonne.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
That's good stuff.
And that leads into another issue. Why didn't she just kill him?
There's 2 separate occasions. Well, you know what? Okay.
3!
Well, you know what? The first time, though, when she's in the bedroom... Okay, the thing is about that is I got the sense that, like, I thought that was actually a good scene because in that scene I got the sense that she was struggling with the fact that, like, yeah...
But also the other thing, maybe you could make the argument that they would have known it was her.
Well, that, and also, in that scene, I got the sense that she was struggling with the fact that, yeah, he's not, like, the best man, but at the same time, this is a pretty stable, like, living situation we have here, pretty much, and she doesn't want to, get rid of that. But then, but when they have the second and third time, it's like, just get it done with already if you're going to keep contemplating it the whole time.
So then you get the episode with Merle and Michonne.
And that's a great episode.
That's one of the best episodes, again, because it focuses on a small thing. I noticed a pattern.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the best ending. I love that fight scene between Merle and the governor.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking bites his fingers off.
And I'm going to say, I think, in that scene with Daryl, I think is the most genuinely sad moment the show's actually ever had.
That's the first time Daryl's actually shown honest emotion.
Well, because more than any other character, really, we really, like, care what happens to Daryl.
Because Daryl's
and we
not
love
a
Daryl.
flawed individual like Rick
Yeah.
or, Lori, something like that.
But, like, he's one of the few characters that's...
He's
like,
got a clean slate, basically.
Well, not only is it a clean slate, but he's very consistently written, and
he makes logical choices every time.
So to see him like break down was like just it's like this like opening up of a wound.
And they also that episode they also have Herschel, Glenn, and Maggie.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, my blessing. I'm like, okay, we're building up to something happening to one of the three of them.
Okay. And see, here's the thing. You missed one episode. There's the episode where Governor chases Andrea.
That was fucking stupid.
Okay,
it turned into a serial killer movie.
With him whistling.
With him whistling, he's got the shovel. He's putting it, which he's a great character, but
yeah.
I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. And first of all, two things: how the hell did he get out of that building? Because he had no bullets.
Yeah.
And there was about 24 walkers. All he had was a shovel, and he was backed into the corner. Secondly, why didn't Andrea take his truck?
That was a big question mark.
God.
Okay, so here's the thing. That episode is a bad example of setting stakes for the finale because we don't really care about Andrea all that much.
Because she's made her bed and she has to sleep in it.
She's made so many bad decisions that it's hard to sympathize with her. But the next episode with Merrill is a great setting the stakes episode because it sets...
Because he made the right decision.
Well, yeah, because of that, and because with Daryl, being all emotional on his brother's death, it sets a real, reason to care, for the governor to, bite it in the end, pretty much.
I think now we have to touch on the finale.
Now we have to actually get to the finale.
All right, as we said, we've spoiled a lot, but spoilers galore.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
I think the first half of the episode is great.
I'm going to start with I think that's the best pre-credit sequence.
Where he's beating Milton.
Yeah, and then he's like, all right, you're going to kill her one way or another.
That was a really clever idea. Stabbing him and having him die slowly and then turn into a walker to get her. I thought that was great.
Because now it's like, okay, now finally the last episode we got the governor from the comics. He just went completely ape shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, finally. And then they go he rounds up his troops.
Yep.
Then Tyrese again. Speaking of which, Tyrese, the prior episodes, the only other thing he did was burn the zombies.
Yep. And again, in this finale, Tyrese has nothing to do.
He just goes, we're not helping you.
Yeah.
So the governor goes to grab a rifle. I'm like, okay, just shoot him, because if you're not going to do anything, don't burn this down with secondary characters that you aren't going to focus on. But no, he's like, all right. He gets in his truck and leaves.
Yep.
Then they go to the prison. Okay.
And another really clever bit where Rick and his group are hiding in the tombs area of the prison and ambush them.
They trip the alarms.
Yep. And it's a great scene. It's really clever. It's a clever way of having a battle, but at the same way making it unpredictable and then setting it up for something a little bit later on. And then there's the, again, like you said, the governor from the comics, where he just goes ape shit and just shoots all of his
I'm pretty sure he killed a good 20 people.
In a crazed frenzy. And the two soldiers left are like...
Yeah, we're with you.
they don't say it, but they're like, I guess we're stay
screwed.
with you. Yeah, we're screwed.
We're going to die either way.
Yeah, exactly. And
you know what's I think the best part of that episode is the scene where Carl kills that teenager in cold blood.
because that's a scene that creates a genuine ethical dilemma. And a lot of times when the show's tried ethical dilemmas before, like in season 2, it's really on the nose kind of stuff, like especially whenever Dale comes in to moralize. But this one was actually like a real genuine, like, what would you have done? Because like if you actually remember, Carl tells the kid to drop it, but the kid goes to like
he moves forward
with the gun. So you think maybe like use it. And what Carl says to Rick is right. Like, you know, you can't always just let them go on.
He's like, I can't remember what he said. What does he say? He's like, you know...
He says you let the governor go when you were talking to him.
Yeah.
Randall.
Dale.
Dale. No, but Dale was a good... No, Carl started going out bad people that they didn't kill when they had the chance, though. And to a certain extent, I guess, Shane.
Then it cuts off.
Well, hold on. Now, amidst all that good stuff in the first 2/3 of the episode, the Andrea stuff doesn't work. Because after that really clever setup, I'm so shocked that stuff was so poorly...
I'm like, is she really that stupid?
I'm shocked that stuff was so poorly directed because it was made by Ernest Dickerson, who has directed some of the best episodes of the show ever. But it was such an artificial way of, like, creating she makes every dumb move that, like, a horror movie, like, girl would make. She keeps, like, watching and talking to Milton instead of trying to actually free herself when time is ticking down even more. And she keeps just delaying doing it. And it's hard to feel sympathy for her then when she dies in the end. And it should have been a 90-minute episode where after the governor, like, kills his people...
And he leaves with his 2 guys.
Yeah, he returns to the prison and just goes out on a death wish type of thing.
He's like, you know what, I'm here, just kill me.
Like, the show, like, it can build itself up, but it doesn't have the convictions
you have to pay it off somehow.
It...
And killing off a character that your sympathies aren't really...
And that's another thing. Even if you take out the fact that we didn't really care about Andrea, she goes out in the, like, most undramatic way possible. It's like her whole thing is happening, and she dies because of her stupid decisions, and then the prison group finds her in Woodbury, and it's like, well, that was it, pretty much. Like, It just frustrates me so much because after building up so much goodwill, Glenn Mazzara, after building up so much goodwill with the second half of season 2 and the first half of season 3, you thought, holy crap, the show is saved, it's finally, like, consistently written, and then he goes back to the worst of the Darabont era in the second half.
And also, there's no payoff because the governor's still out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's no payoff to that. I mean, I don't understand how you're going to... I think it's a big F you to Morrissey to say, we're not going to finish your arc.
Yeah.
And who knows? They're probably going to kill him off in the pilot for season 4. And if they do that, I'm going to call bull on that.
You know what I think they'll do? I think they might kill him off in the first half of season 4.
Maybe
that's
I can't see them dragging this out for another. Because, let's see, pretty sure he killed half the people in his town.
Well, yeah.
And no one's going to question it.
Mm-hmm. Now, as much goodwill as this finale just sapped out of me, I do remain with a kernel of hope because those 2 episodes in the second half of season 2 that were fantastic, the Morgan episode and the Merrill episode, they were written by the guy who's running the show. And those 2 episodes displayed a good sense of character development, character interactions, and action moments, too. So, I think the guy knows what he's doing. Whether he can make a whole season out of that, waits to be seen. But the fact that he was able to prove himself in just 2 episodes, and also he also wrote in season 2 he wrote the great episode where Shane and Rick are in the parking lot.
Oh, and they go to blows under the truck.
Yep, they have that fight. He wrote the episode where Shane kills Otis. Also, another.
And he shaves his head.
Yep, another great episode. He wrote one other one. Which one did he write? Oh, he wrote the mid-season finale with the barn massacre. So
I guess my to kind of wrap up the season 3 as a whole, the biggest issue with it for me is inconsistent writing and little payoff.
Yeah.
But I think the strengths of it are
The governor.
I think the acting as a whole. I think the acting was stepped up because Carl, the kid, finally got to show.
Yeah, the kid who plays Carl definitely stepped up in his performances this time. Because I thought he was pretty wooden the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But he's getting better.
He's also getting older, and I think that helps.
Yeah.
But goddamn, David Morrissey, he is so good. It's scary.
It's like the tag team of him and Michael Rooker in that like first half.
Well, it's like they're 2 veteran,
yeah,
well-trained actors, and it's like you see David Morrissey and you go, no, I guess I'm glad about the show is that they didn't pick guys who are very well known.
Yeah.
Because even Michael Rooker, he's most known for Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, and that came out 25 years ago.
Exactly. He's always been a smaller.
Even Norman Reedus, he's only done
Boondock Saints.
Boondock Saints and Blade 2.
Pretty much.
But I gotta say, I think David Morrissey.
And Andrew Lincoln was Love Actually.
But it's like I think David Morrissey, they gave him some because that could have been so over the top.
Yeah.
So over the top of the character, so ridiculous as far as
Well, he starts out as more nuanced, which is what makes him.
And I like how you see a gradual breakdown. It's not like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I mean, you do kind of feel for the guy when Michonne stabs his daughter in the head, even though.
And then stabs his eye out.
That's gonna suck.
Although the part 5 minutes afterwards where he puts the brothers in a gladiator fight, it pushes.
Speaking of no payoff, they get away. Not one punch is thrown.
That was all right. I mean, they had the prison group had to save them somehow. And you know what though? Actually, I was frustrated. You know, I was frustrated though by the fact that they separate from the group, and you think, okay, it's gonna do this whole other separate thing where Daryl and Meryl are together, and that goes on for 1 episode, and then they go back to the prison.
Yeah.
Like.
And it's not even a full episode they're out there.
Yeah, it was like it goes in one direction and then it doubles back and it can't follow through on its intentions, pretty much.
But it's like, yeah, I think pretty much David Morrissey carried that second half. If it wasn't for the governor, I wouldn't have kept watching.
Pretty much. And Morgan.
Yeah.
Seriously,
that was a genuine shock.
The actor Lenny James, who plays Morgan, like, he just goes all out in that scene where he's like telling Rick how his son was killed and stuff. He's just like, damn, just give this guy the Eddie right now.
Speaking of which, I think Gateway for nominating him.
Lenny James?
Yeah.
I know you're probably pulling for Morrissey.
I could see it. I mean, it's not like it's not a one-dimensional performance. He does show anger. He shows sadness.
Yeah.
There's more to it. Because let's face it, there's no way they could adapt that character from the comics without, first of all, it looking ridiculous. Because not only does Michonne take his eye, she takes his arm, she takes his fingernails, she cuts his balls off.
She goes all out.
Yeah, and he rapes her in the comics.
Okay, with Michonne, until that Morgan episode, Michonne is extremely one note, and it gets really tiring.
It's very
after
repetitive.
a while. She's just scowling the whole time, and it's just like there's the point where like Rick and them save her, and she's like, "I don't need your help," and it's like, whatever, It's not until the Morgan episode where she finally, has a turnaround, and
Actually,
you're like, okay.
Another character we should probably talk about is Glenn for season 3, because I think he's really the one character that you completely like.
I do,
along with Daryl.
I do completely like him, although he does get kind of whiny in the second half of season 2. Although
actually he does.
The second half of season 2, I feel like half of his scenes, he's just complaining.
That sex scene with Maggie.
Oh,
has no purpose. Doesn't build. It's not like.
But still,
the only thing that you could have done is had walkers break through while they're doing it.
That was the most eventful thing of that Rick Governor conversation episode. Glenn and Maggie having sex.
Would have been pretty convenient if the governor showed up then, while they're not guarding.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they have fucking SWAT gear and they couldn't take him down. He's got one eye.
Oh, this is just like a nitpick, but yeah, there's the part where Glenn and Maggie are up on the top and they're shooting at the guys, and it's like a line of Woodbury people coming at
They're
them,
not hitting
and they
anything.
can't hit any of them. Like they don't hit jack shit with them, even though they have the high ground vantage point. Like,
yeah.
and here's the thing: I know the governor is a big plus in season 3, but it's just. I just think season 2 is more consistent.
Well, I think season 2 feels more like an ensemble piece.
And it's like, and I know season 2 doesn't have the governor, but I thought Shane was a great adversary.
He is, but I think the issue with Shane for me, basically him and the governor for me are on 2 separate levels because they're so totally different characters.
Yeah.
Because Shane represents the average guy who goes crazy. The governor represents someone who had moral authority. And in some respects, he was an authoritarian. It's his basically going insane.
I refuse to call the governor Philip.
Well, that's not even his real name in the comics. It's
Yeah.
Brian. Well, speaking of which, I want the prequel series to be adapted as a TV show with David Morrissey.
What was the
It's called Rise of the Governor.
Oh.
It's basically how he took over Woodbury
Maybe that. You know what? They've been making
with his daughter.
Between every season, Greg Nicotero has made a bunch of webisodes. And maybe for the webisodes between these seasons, they could do that.
Because I'm starting to wonder if they planned to kill him off in the finale, but because fan reception was so positive.
Well, there's 2. Because the reason why Glenn Mazzara, or the perceived reason why Glenn Mazzara was left, is because like him and AMC had different opinions of where the show could go, and I'm not sure. Like I want to know like who made the decision to keep the governor alive? Because I don't.
Because now it doesn't make, like, in the comics, the way he's killed, spoilers again,
Yeah.
is they attack the prison, and Herschel gets killed,
Beth
gets killed, Carol gets killed, well, she kills herself, but, people die, and characters of importance die. Basically, the townspeople turn on the governor, and they throw him to the zombies, which, that would have made sense in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So now, if they do that, I mean, who's going to challenge him? Because all the people that could are dead. And I hope they don't do a cheap way where he gets just shot and that's the end of it.
It was a lot of build up to just a whiff of a finale, really.
I mean, this should have been like, season 2's finale.
And it's just unnecessarily dragging it out again when it should have gone for the throat. Like, just
if you're going to build up to something like that, you need some kind of emotional payoff.
One of the show's strengths is that when it goes for the throat, it goes for the fucking throat.
Like the Myrtle episode.
Whenever it makes, the show's much better at making big dramatic gestures than at the subtle ones. And when it hits those big moments, it's great. The Lori death episode, both mid-season finales of both
the Morgan episode.
And season 2 finale and the Morgan episode, when it hits those big notes, it hits them well. And this season finale didn't hit any big notes, and it didn't, except for the Carl stuff, it didn't have any really worthwhile character development either.
In this season, you mean?
No, in the finale, I mean. In terms of the finale, it's
because Carl's the only one who...
For those people who say that the finale was being unpredictable for a more somber...
I called everything that was going to happen.
It's like, yeah, it's more somber, but aside from the Carl stuff, what character development happens, really?
Don't say the governor, because he was already crazy before.
Well, it's only development for him in that he goes full-on, psychotic.
Comic book.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's the thing, though. For the people that whenever, the show drags itself out and people say, oh, they're doing character development stuff, it's like...
There's a difference between character development
and dragging it out.
Character development means character gets an opportunity for change and they take it. Or they don't take it, but they explain why.
Or they have a new kernel to a relationship with another character, pretty much.
Padding it out is just, something is brought up, but either there's no resolution to it, or it's completely glanced over.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference.
For instance, in the Rick Governor conversation episode, all the stuff with Glenn and Meryl, that's not character development. That's just padding it out. They already hate each other. What else does that?
He's not gonna forgive him.
Yeah. What else does that? What does that stuff tell us that we don't already know? Pretty much, it just reinforces the fact that Beth has no purpose in the show at all. Seriously, she sings and she shoots the gun.
Even Carol is getting the shaft.
Well, Carol has already been established, mostly. So yeah, she hasn't been doing anything. I agree, but at least she has had development. Beth has had nothing to do at all.
She's had no relationships with anybody.
No, they don't even.
Herschel barely have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's just, and despite this finale, I'm still hopeful for the show, but I'm on the fence at this point.
Honestly, that finale had so much promise, and it was just for me, it was a big FU. It's like, we're going to tease you, but all I know is that they're going to underwhelm. Mm-hmm. Unless the premiere of season 4 blows me away, I'm done with this show.
This season 3 finale was
like the equivalent of The Sopranos when it cuts to black.
No, this season finale was the filmic equivalent of Blue Balls, pretty much.
Or Cock Block. Or you know what? I have not been as infatuated with an ending as No Country for Old Men. Like, to me, that's what you present everything. Everything's built up.
Yeah.
And then you don't see anything.
It's just, and I don't think this is the worst episode of the show.
No.
There have certainly been worse episodes, but for the
most underwhelming.
Not only for the most underwhelming, but for the one who's just maybe the most mad, this one takes the cake, pretty much. Actually, I'm just curious. What do you think are the worst episodes?
The well one.
The well one is my worst episode, but the CDC one is pretty bad.
The finale of season 1?
Yeah, because again, not only is that just a lot of lost potential, but that just has some of the worst special effects on TV I saw in the explosion. The T-Dog's wife, like, we didn't know her at all, and she's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna die.
I also don't care for the episode where the mid-season season 3 premiere. I don't care for that episode.
Well, I thought that was an okay episode until it goes bad. I thought aside from the governor's attack, I thought the whole episode with Rick and Ghost Lori was really terrible.
I don't care for the Marlon Daryl one either, because it goes.
It goes nowhere. That too.
I think season 3 has the most bad episodes.
I feel like there's more. I feel like there's another one in season 2 that I'm not remembering right now. The episode in season 2 where you know what though? The season 1 episode where they come across the Latinos in the hospital. that takes the cake for TV stereotyping in the last 3 years. Really the episode when Daryl has the Meryl hallucination in season 2. It's not a bad episode.
It just feels like they're like, all right, we want Michael Rooker to come back.
I feel like, yeah, for the first half of season 2 and the second half of 3 are examples where the second half of season 3 could have been 5 or 6 episodes. The first half of season 2 could have been 5 episodes. There's so much stuff that could have been cut or then condensed into other episodes and made a much tighter, more compelling watch. It has good parts. It's just
all the elements are there. I think they need to find a tone and a set objective point of where they want to go.
They need to focus
at the end of season 4.
Yeah,
they should say, okay, where are we starting? Where do we want to end?
Yeah.
Figure out, okay, how are we going to get to that? Because it seems like to me they're like, all right, what do people want to see? Holy shit, that's what's his name, the mayor from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, Mr. Carbonell.
With those eyebrows.
Yeah, Mr. Guyliner.
We're watching the Bates Motel show.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end it.
We can also keep this going with other TV shows.
I want to talk about Breaking Bad.
We're going to do a separate Breaking Bad show eventually.
I want to talk about Breaking Bad.
But I think we need to get Alex here.
But you're not there yet. Damn it. I haven't caught up to season 5 of Mad Men, but I'm loving it so far. Seasons 1 through 4 were all fantastic. It's you know what's funny? I had the same reaction to season 3 of Mad Men as I did for season 3 of The Wire, where it's just like it's like the everything in the beginning, like it's all like, you know, set up, everything's being laid out, and then and then the finale of both Wire and Mad Men season 3, it's like a symphony of just all these pieces just perfectly clicking together in sync, and it sets up this whole season 3 of Mad Men is like a complete like reset of the show. It's like cut the characters that
they trim the fat.
They trim the fat. They trim the characters that we liked, but we weren't really that invested with, and they kept the characters that we all liked, and it sets up this whole new era for it. It keeps it fresh, really, and that's the thing with most shows is they're not trying to keep it fresh, and with that, it seemed like they were trying to get into this new era, pretty much. And I really like a lot of the stuff they've gone into with what they went into with season 4, like with Don's loneliness, and then the episode between him and it's pretty much just the episode with him and Peggy was fantastic.
If Breaking Bad wasn't on TV, would you say John Hamm is the best actor?
Yeah. Well, every year at the Golden Globes and Emmys, it's pretty much just John Hamm and Bryan Cranston.
And Steve Buscemi's in the middle.
And Steve Buscemi's just like, hi, I'm here.
Speaking of which, I love Boardwalk Empire.
I need to get into Boardwalk Empire.
I'm a huge fan. Archer. Not arguably it's the funniest show on TV. It's always consistently funny.
Yep.
Even the weaker episodes, which I can't think of many. There's that one joke.
I can't remember actually any.
There's like
episodes. Really.
Do you have a favorite episode?
I'm not sure
because I do.
I've never thought of what my favorite episode was, but I do love the breast cancer episode a lot. And there was one episode. Oh, there was an episode that was like I think it was like 2 weeks ago. That was one of my favorite episodes.
Because my favorite one is when Mallory brings in the black guy, Clarence. I think that's my favorite episode.
Wait, is that with the Jewish black guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did you have sex with mother?
That's great. He's like, really? That's what you ask now? Oh, and then the episode, I think it's the premiere of season 4, when they go see Archer's old friend, and there's the last 2 minutes where he whispers like what he did to Archer like all these years ago, and it's implied that the guy raped Archer because he loved him so much.
Right.
And Archer like screams, and it's like all the birds flying away, and then it cuts the Cyril, Lana, and him in the car, and Lana has this expression on her face like,
And then I think my favorite episode of season 4 is when Krieger gives Ray new legs. They have the Terminator bit at the end.
The Terminator parody is great.
As far as stuff, like I haven't gotten into Revolution. Never watched an episode.
I never intended to.
I watch Grimm. Grimm's a pretty good show. Once Upon a Time, I can't get into.
I haven't
wasting Robert Carlyle's
time. Aside from Game of Thrones, I haven't gotten in Mad Men. I haven't gotten into any of their shows. I mean, the next show I'm getting into is Arrested Development because it's coming back in May. So I figured I have to. But once Arrested Development once I'm done catching up with that, I can pick whatever I want. I have a whole list of classic TV shows I still haven't gone through. A lot of animated stuff I want to revisit. And, one of my top priorities is to get through Buffy, basically.
Not a fan. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry.
You're not the Joss Whedon?
No, I like Joss Whedon. It's just, I like the Avengers.
Well, yeah.
Probably, I'm really excited for Hannibal. I hope that's good. Because all the pieces are there.
Mads Mikkelsen.
I mean, that's something I wouldn't think of.
But then
I look at pictures.
Yep.
I'm like that works. Trying to think what else is on. I don't watch The Newsroom. I don't watch Girls, True Blood. I've tried True Blood. I can't do it.
I've only seen one episode of True Blood, and I have to admit it kind of got me interested. And I do want to check out American Horror Story at some point.
That's a good show.
What was I gonna say? There was one show that crap, I can't remember what it was now. Just lost my mind there.
Jackass does that too. What are you most excited for? Last part of Breaking Bad.
Oh, that is unquestionably. Because, damn, I've been waiting since last August.
It's like me with Game of Thrones. I had to wait 300 days.
See, and you're not even at that point yet. But when you get to that final episode that they've premiered on TV, you'll understand why it's been killing me so much for the conclusion to come.
Yeah, that's a good place to leave off.
Mm-hmm. To go into debauchery.
And for the record, I don't watch Nickelodeon anymore. I watch Adventure Time and regular show.
Mm-hmm. Gravity Falls.
Yeah, I do watch Gravity Falls actually. This concludes our talking TV talk.
TV talk.
I think we'll be trying to come up with some weekly topics. I'd like to do a show about the box office. I'd like to do a show about TV.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, and then a news show.
Yeah,
talk about what's going on. So yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Once we get a full crew, it'll be a lot easier.
Once we can get our third one to consistently arrive.
Yeah.